Mr. Crishaun the Don, host of Misfit Nation.
Is Trump like really big on getting women sort of out of the combat roles or out of the? I feel like
think
he's not really.
It doesn't seem like it.
As much as Trump is what he is,
Yeah.
he still has his little elements. You got to stand against that.
They would try to kill him again.
Republicans would turn against him.
See, that's
It's the real conspiracy.
Would you sign a prenup to protect yourself if you're a billionaire and you're married?
If I had $1,000, I would get a prenup.
$1,000?
Absolutely, especially if she wasn't there to help me build it.
Why doesn't she get half? She's doing half her part to help you do your part. Why didn't she deserve half?
If you divorce, then she doesn't deserve anything.
Oh,
it is.
I think every woman is trying to destroy us. It's just her natural inclination. Anchor baby.
Hello, sir.
The whole crew here, huh?
Yeah.
We're just
nice diverse panel. Huh?
I know. I feel like we make up the whole sum of you.
Probably.
For real?
I'm everything but Hispanic though, so.
Oh no, not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit of spice in me.
All right, cool.
That's true. I think peppers were found when we found the Mexicans.
Y'all ready?
Yeah.
Oh. Welcome to Punchie TV.
Welcome to Punchie TV with your hosts.
Welcome to Punchie TV. I am Punchie with your host, Punchie, from JesseLeePeterson.com show. Oh, Joel Friday, the host of the... What am I saying about you? The American Anchor Baby. The host of the American Anchor Baby Show. James Hake, a host of the Hake Report. Welcome to Punchie TV. Punchie.
Welcome to Punchie TV. We have a special guest here. We have Mr. Crishaun the Don, host of Misfit Nation podcast, and he is here with us. Familiar guest. He's been on the other shows, but this is the first time he's been on Punchie. He is also formerly was in the music industry, right? You still make music, Crishaun, or no?
Not one bit. I mean, I do little production pieces for my show, but other than that, yeah, I just have a big archive of music sitting around doing nothing.
Nice. Well, more so just podcasting stuff now. That's more the main focus.
Yeah, podcasting. I do have a new goal of maybe doing a movie someday.
Nice.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm headed to, hopefully.
So the creative juices, you're not ready to let them go, huh?
I find it harder and harder to keep a hold of them. The more of a realist I become, and the more of a conservative I become. Yeah. But I find it's like a good thing because in my personal life, I've become way more successful, and it's allowed me to do this for fun and for fun. So
do you
plus
find
so you know
off subject, but do you find really quick that you're more productive when you're doing things out of the fun of it, opposed to the importance of trying to make it something?
Yeah, funny enough, I became way more successful in podcasting as far as like growing a fan base than I did music, like ever. Even the biggest song that I ever sold was just some goofy song I made for my podcast.
Right.
And me and my friends who did music together for like a decade, we laugh at it because we're like, after all of that, the thing that I got most of my sales from was some goofy podcast song. It's like I accept it though. It was fun. I actually had fun doing it.
Exactly.
That's what's important. Yeah, and I love doing my show every week. I have no motivation other than just doing it.
To do it. So, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why I realized that the more that I just do things like just for the fun of it, or without the intent of trying to be the best or the greatest or all that, like striving, is when I get the best results. So I was just wondering if it was the same for you.
Absolutely. I wish I had this when I was in the music industry.
Right.
It just wasn't in the cards. So
right.
And maybe that's for the best. I always tell Hake all the time, I think I was better off not making it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
True.
Right on. Well, I want to. There's a bunch of things I want to get into. I want to share with you, Crishaun. And thanks for coming on. By the way, appreciate it. We appreciate it.
Of course, thanks for having me on. I love you guys. You know that.
Right on, man. And so Trump been sending over all the inmates, the gang members, illegal gang members to the El Salvadorian most feared mega prison. You heard about that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And there's this documentary where they're showing like the prison. I don't know if you guys seen it. And it just shows like how crazy the prison, just this huge prison, and then it shows like inside where the inmates are being held and what it looks like, how they're being treated, all this stuff. There's a few things that I noticed in the documentary. So this is from free documentaries on YouTube. This is a snippet from a documentary of the world's most feared prison in El Salvador, CSOT. Am I saying that right? CSOT, do you guys know?
I seen the acronym. No clue.
Something like that. But here's that first clip.
In
front of us, an 11-meter high reinforced concrete enclosure capable of withstanding an attack from a tank. Equipped with 19 watchtowers, guards armed with assault rifles, and a 15,000-volt electric wire fence. A technological marvel, a source of pride for President Bukele.
Okay, so
that's what I wanted to see.
Is that what you call his? Is that how you pronounce his name, President Bukele?
Yeah, he said.
Bukele,
What he said?
that.
Bukele.
Was this an AI host?
I don't think so.
Could be.
I didn't even question.
It might be.
Now, okay, my ears are perked now. If you got more.
Well, the point I wanted to bring that up because the thing I forgot to mention is that what I want to do is with this episode is just point out the holes in the system, and we get to the bottom of, what's going on. And one of those was, to me, I don't know if you guys caught it, right? But they're talking about how this El Salvadorian prison is the most feared, the scariest, the biggest, right? You don't want to go to this prison. They got all these watchtowers, all these things, but on the top of the watchtower is this lady with a sniper.
I saw
don't know
that.
if you guys noticed that.
I missed that. Wow.
And I was thinking like,
Scrub back to it.
We gotta roll that back.
Let's do it again.
They're soft arms.
Yeah.
Whose arms are bigger?
In front of us, an 11-meter high reinforced concrete enclosure capable of withstanding an attack from a tank. Equipped with 19 watchtowers, guards armed with assault rifles, and a 15,000-volt electric wire fence.
That's homegirl. That's his homegirl. Maybe it was a stud. Maybe it was a stud. Shout out to the studs.
Shout out
Yo,
to
what
the
are studs?
Well, that's the thing. Oh.
That's not appropriate for this.
Explain
Oh, you
to
can't use
the
that word?
man what the
Well,
stud.
basically, we don't know what this person is, but we know that it's a female. We don't seemingly.
I'm down with the studs.
More
I respect.
feminine looking person, right? Female looking, right?
Yeah.
But to me, it was and I'm nitpicking. I'm nitpicking about this, but
It hurts to nitpick because it'd be so annoying. So I know how you feel.
yeah, because it's a good thing that
Tell
they're
her.
doing. It's a good thing that's being done, right? But I'm nitpicking at the situation. But it's like when you're saying like tough and mean and holding it down and all that stuff, and then the image, the picture of this prison is the lady at the top of the thing. It is almost like laughable if you're another country looking at that and being like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like, what did you think about it?
If I were, I'm with you because
Yeah.
I don't like women in law enforcement or even corrections or any kind of like that. The only thing I can maybe like go, all right, is that they have her at least on the top of the tower away from the danger.
Yeah. Good point.
And there's a history of women being not a lot of them, but women being snipers in certain
Archers.
Oh.
yeah. So, like,
Fair enough.
I'm not saying I'm for it, but
Right.
at least they don't have them like standing behind a
good
door
point.
to breach a prison cell. Like
Yeah.
that's why I go like, ugh, get that out of here.
That's a good point too. And, all in all, like I said, I was nitpicking on it, but there's little holes in the system that you can see that would be nice if those holes were filled but before.
No, bro, in the breakout, in that critical moment, there's someone going to pull the lever they're not supposed to. It's her. You know what I'm saying? It's her. Look, I know I'm just making it up.
Taser.
I'm just making it up, but I agree with your vibe. Like,
Yeah.
That's a hole in the system, man.
So Joel, you're saying that this is a DEI like little optic moment.
I don't know about in El Salvador, but in the U.S. police department, especially LA police department, they almost like seemingly recruit weak men,
liberals.
Yeah, because like I remember I went out for the LAPD and I tried to get in there and like my scores were great. Everything was like up to par except for the fact that my opinions they didn't like seemingly. Right? They don't tell you why they don't hire you, but I'm pretty sure it was based off of my opinions. They had asked me one time, could you do you think women belong in the police academy? And I said no, I don't think that they should be in there. And I think that's what like scuffed me for the thing. But it was
they
like
didn't tell you, huh?
They don't tell you exactly.
Yeah.
But when I rebutted when they denied me and I disputed it, they interviewed me a second time, but they put a woman there to interview me. So I think it was all like a smack in the face kind of to me. But I think that they're not really, like James said, I think it's like they're looking for a specific type, and actually like somebody who wants to do, the right thing or like has like, real values or whatever. They're not looking for that. They're looking for more safer bets.
Yeah, they're weeding people out just based on that alone. Like, because I do find that most people in those positions tend to be more conservative, grounded minded people.
Yeah.
They're not liberals, that the ones that are good at it.
And
there's just something in that. There's a reality to it. Also, especially dealing with crime and criminality, it's like you have to be a realist when you're dealing with it. You have to racially profile.
Yeah.
You can't feel bad about that. It is what it is. Like, it's too much emotions involved. And that's I partially think it's women getting involved, women getting in men's ears.
Yeah.
Aren't we treating the prisoners too bad? Men are like, care about the prisoners. They're prisoners.
Right.
I've been hearing that recruitment has been really low on the military, but Trump said with his recent speech that recruitment has gone back up. And I suspect that it's partly because he's gotten rid of a lot of the DEI stuff. Mm-hmm. He's invited the vax refrainers back in, and so that and the LGBT thing, like the transgender,
getting rid of
thing.
the transgender.
Although that's been challenged by some judge.
Yeah,
but that I bet that would encourage like competent men. You're back. You're welcome again.
So, and also because they trust Trump. They trust the fact that Trump is controlling it now. So.
Yeah, there's somebody inspiring up there.
Yeah.
To Joel's point earlier about the El Salvadorian prison thing, is Trump like really big on getting women sort of out of the combat roles or out of the? I don't think it's not really.
It doesn't seem like it.
That's where I get you in that. As much as Trump is what he is, he still has his little elements. You have to go. You got to stand against that. Yeah.
See, and that's the thing is that like, but see, it's hard for me to tell if Trump is either way. I trust that he's gonna do his job. Period. But it's hard for me to tell if Trump is just trying to be wise in the decision he makes, because he can't like snuff the women out the thing. He'll shoot him in his foot. They'll get him out there so quick. There's no way that he can just let me just get rid of all women. Like it would just be, it would just cause a lot of problems. Or if he's just not necessarily against having women in there. It's hard for me to tell which one is the thing.
I think he's always been kind of pro-woman.
Yeah.
And the culture has made it so that like the women come off as more competent and the men come off as more like broken and subject to the women.
Yeah.
So it's a mess.
And to Joel's point, it's a kind of a short list. To get a man that's pro-Trump and actually loyal. It's like they tried with Matt Gaetz and all that. So,
I see.
To that point, it's a short list.
Trump is already getting all that stuff you were saying, Joel, where he's like, if he were to say no more women in combat roles in the military, it's not like he's going to get any kind of flack that he isn't already getting. Like, what are they going to try to kill him again? Are they going to go after him again with the law? Are they going to call him bad names in the press?
You could be right. I'll go ahead, finish your point.
That's it. I was just saying they're already doing that. So I don't know what his fear would be in that. So I tend to believe he is a little more pro women than I don't think women should even be in politics. So I think women removed from politics.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think and you might be right. It's probably because he's just more in favor. He's just not against it. Somebody had said once, it was Jake. We had Jake as a guest, Jake Rattlesnake Jake, something like that, Jake the Snake, and he said that Anchor Baby asked him, where does Trump fall on the Christianity wise to you? And he says way below. He doesn't see him really too much as a Christian, as much as he sees him as like a realist or like a pragmatist, he said, or something like that. And I understood what he meant by that, because I think that Trump has a lot of, there's Christian values there and he's a real person, but at the same time, I don't think he's necessarily this like versed Christian to where he's looking at like, women aren't in these roles, that women are made to be the helpers of men. I don't think that he's looking into that deep as much as he's just trying to be kind to and equal to all people.
There's something about this conversation, though. I think the woman topic is a big taboo. You ask, Crishaun was saying, what's going to happen? What more can happen? He's already getting flack. But that's the thing. Everyone wants to say the Jewish thing is the taboo. But everyone's talking about that. It's all over the internet. It's like, oh, they're so censored. It's like, there you are. And there's people who did get censored and they're still censored and whatever. So fine, I get you. There's people out there that got their crusades. But friggin' Jake, right? The woman question, like no one really wants to get that. Like every the Republican men, they're submissive to their wives in politics, in everywhere. This is, you ask what would come up from this. Their wives would go against them.
See,
you bring hell. You're talking about the thing that nobody wants to deal with.
Yeah. See, that's
it's the conspiracy.
That's the thing that I'm saying. That Nick is making. Crishaun, is that like when you unplug that, then it's more like it's a bigger issue than everything else, because like women like are implanted in culture right now and society, and you now go against the women. It's like you're going against what the world is believing in right now. So not that anything is gonna harm him, but it would almost like, I don't know, I think it would do more damage.
They would try to kill him again.
Yeah, they
would do everything they
could. Over the women thing. That's the thing. Like it's
Republicans would turn against him. Now I'm thinking about other things, but
Nick, in that it is like for the future of the Republican Party, where like we got to remember, I believe the Republican Party, this Trump really, this election got a bigger number of the women vote, than they expected. So I think you're right in the sense that they're still looking at that as like sort of thin ice. It's fragile territory. So if Trump says one thing that's actually sexist, and I don't mean that in a bad way.
Right. That's exactly what I'm getting at.
They're going to latch onto that and go, I regret voting for Trump.
Yeah.
I think there's women that are actually doing that already. You see it online, and I believe some of those are real. Where they're coming out and going, I regret voting for Trump because the eggs haven't gone down and he's treating the gays. And it's like, you really didn't have a change. You just voted for somebody different than you usually do.
Yeah, it reminds me of like, how there's like things over time that tend to get more dramatized than they were attended to. Like the N-word has been one of those things that has been around forever. You say the N-word to the wrong person and then you're banished from life. Or like, against the Jews, you can't now, anti-Semitism and all that stuff. But like now saying a woman shouldn't be in politics or in the workforce, that's one of those things to me now that has turned into this like N-word that if you say that, then we can cancel you. And I think sometimes I wonder if like that plays a part in why people in politics don't actually come hard with that.
There's a song by Yoko Ono from back in the day. It's called "Women Are the N-Word of the World." She actually uses it.
That's a real thing.
It's called
Women. That's funny.
It's actually one of the. Go ahead.
I know very little of her, but that just makes sense.
Yeah. And basically her whole song is that women are the N-word of the world because they have to like, clean and cook and be women.
Oh, so like
victimhood.
Yeah.
You probably asked Yoko Ono, well, what else would you want to do? And she like, melting, screaming on a microphone. All right, that's better.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good question. What else would you want to do? Like,
what else are you gonna do?
You want to work hard every day and like toil. I'm so jealous. Like I don't know. Like what else do you want to do?
With that being said, I wanted to, since we're on the topic of men and women, I wanted to talk to you about, ask you, Crishaun, and you guys as well, is some of like the men and women issues of today. I wanted to get into a little switching topic, but kind of there. Are you in a relationship at all? Do you mind saying or no? If you don't want to, you don't have to.
Yeah, I'm in a relationship.
Okay. Do you plan on ever marry? Not necessarily. We don't know about this one, but do you plan on marrying in general at one point?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm hoping to.
Okay. Fair enough. I asked because there is this conversation that was had with this lady. Her name is Dr. Cheyenne, with this guy who's a podcast host. He has a podcast. And they kind of get into what men and women value. So I want to play that clip real quick. This is from The Table with AO. Dr. Cheyenne explains what men and women value. Here we go.
What someone finds valuable about themselves is what they lead with.
Okay.
So, for example, a man who leads with, I want a woman to find me good looking and rich. Rich meaning financially rich. Well, we know that man finds value in him being good looking and in his money. So that man should not gaslight women or complain when women come and calibrate for his looks and his money. No, she's not called a gold digger. This is what you find valuable. So now that she's valuing it, what is the problem, young man? Or grown man? Let me go with women really quick though.
Please
for women.
Please
for
go.
Women, right? Who
Walk
lead with, I want a man to find me gorgeous. I want a man to find me with quote unquote body. You know how they say, okay, body.
Yeah.
That's what I want him to see because that's what I find valuable about myself. Well, sis, don't get upset when this man wants to use you for your looks and for your body. And he doesn't find any other interest in you because you led with what you find valuable. So when he values that too, say thank you. Don't get mad and say all he wants is. But that's what you led with.
So that's Dr. So we can start with the lady. Let's start with the ladies portion of that clip. Do you guys find that to be true, or what do you guys think about that?
It's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's what you're attracted to. It's a natural thing. It's happening without you even putting any effort into it.
Well, what about the ladies who are dressing more sexually than just like a regular attraction? Like, oh, she's pretty. Should they get mad if a guy approaches them with some comments that are sexual? Like, dang, girl, what's up? Well, we don't got to say what the comments are.
Like what?
You
For example one.
Should they be mad that they're approached in that way based off of the way they're dressed? If they're approached with sexual comments, should they be mad about it if they're dressed sexually?
I would expect them to be mad about it because they are conflicted about what they want. They want to be that, but they also despise the men for falling for it.
Yeah.
So,
do they have the right to be? Do they have the right to be disrespected?
To feel disrespected?
Yeah, feel disrespected.
Yeah, it's silly, but
right.
They have the right to
do
feel disrespected.
Yeah, of course they have the right to, like, say, like, expect something different.
Right.
But I don't think that they should expect something different to me, because it's like, if you're dressed in a certain way, right? And like the Dr. Cheyenne was saying.
Is that her first name?
I don't know. That's her title. But if she's giving that out, she's giving out sexual, right? Then she shouldn't expect to be treated like a lady, right? Because all you're doing is tempting the man.
Right.
And in his temptation, he's going to gravitate to what is driving him. And he's not going to now come up to you and say, oh, I want you to meet my mom. He's going to come up and has different plans in mind.
Well, I agree with you. Morally, I agree with you. The problem is that you take a woman who dresses like a prostitute. I'll try to make it as clean as possible.
Yeah.
That's what we used to call it too. And now they're all dressing that way.
Yeah.
They're all dressing that way, right?
Yeah.
So the problem is that there are a lot of men that will treat that girl like a wife and take her home to meet the mother and do like, so yeah, like in a perfect world, I agree with you. And maybe with, guys like us or whatever. Yeah, that's how we think. But is it the majority of men that are treating these women that are dressing like prostitutes like wives? And then they are getting cheated on and they're not being treated like husbands or boyfriends, you know? And they're just accepting it, though. I think there's a lot to that men are accepting it. For instance, one example real quick. The OnlyFans thing. There's a lot of women that are doing OnlyFans and there's a stigma on it, right? But they keep doing it and they keep defending it. And it's like, yeah, because there are a lot of guys who are enabling them. Yeah. There are a lot of guys who are paying. They're not making millions of dollars from it, from there or from advertising. You know what I mean?
OnlyFans needs to be studied.
Right.
They normalized prostitution, but
and you're saying that there are guys who will be with them and stay with them, knowing that they're doing that.
Yes, and I think that's what's enabling them. And we're talking about it, but they're gonna go, well, not all guys feel that way, and you gotta go. Yeah, you're right. They're not supposed to feel the way that you feel, but they do.
To the ladies' defense is my second point that I wanted to make, is that this is what is drawing men's attention, right? And this is why the ladies do it, because they know that it's drawing the men's attention. This is what works, right? They're not doing it just based off of like chance. No, this is evidence-backed, factual proof that when I dress this way as a lady, I'm gonna get attention from men. So I think that that's why they are doing it to their, because, there's a side of me that wants to be like, well, why are you mad that pervs are approaching you when you're dressed this way, like prostitute? But at the same time, it's like they're looking for love too, you know what I mean? And the only love that they're getting is from the guys that just want to use them. So instead of them saying like, okay, well, I'll just be lonely and wait for the right guy, they rather take the attention and settle for doing what works.
Well, you got to also take into consideration that people don't have like confidence these days. So a lot of times they talk themselves into thinking like, I'll settle for this because I can't get anything better. You know what I mean? Or I'm going to go for this lifestyle because it's easy and it's what what I'm capable of. It's a lot of that is just they're not confident and they don't believe much in themselves. So that's why they behave this way.
That's true. That's why the men will settle for the women being out of control like that. They'll be like needy for her. It's crazy.
Yeah, reliant, dependent.
When it comes to the men, because we're coming for the men too. We're coming up for us men, because I realize too is that there's a big issue in the culture with men right now too. Obviously, men are weak today. They're losing their confidence, and they're trying to get it back. We know that, right? But also, there's something else in culture that I'm realizing that men are running away from, and that is marriage. Men don't want to get married, especially men with money. They don't want to get married, right? And like the lady said, Dr. Cheyenne said in the first part of her interview, is that guys who have money don't want to be approached by the gold diggers, but that's what the guys are putting out. They're putting out they got this money. They're putting out they got this rides, so they can get that attention from the girls.
Terrible.
And now that they got it, they don't want a gold digger, right?
But why is this happening?
But I know.
These stupid gold diggers. No, I'm feeling the vibe.
And they're shocked. But here's from whatever podcast. I got another clip I want to show you guys that makes the point. It's from whatever podcast host Brian Atlas. You guys familiar with Brian Atlas?
Maybe.
Yeah. The whatever
Maybe
podcast. He debates with female guests on the points of marriage. Here we go.
I don't know how to
Just
word
ask.
it. I don't know how to word it, but I'm saying like when you date, like, are you thinking like this is gonna be my wife? Like, I don't know.
I'm not
because
gonna.
some people,
I'm probably not gonna get married.
you're not gonna get married.
No, I could have a life partner, but
Why
I
not
don't need the
getting
government.
married?
I don't need the government involved in my love life.
That's true.
I don't.
no benefits to a
there's-
man
Yeah,
getting
and
married.
also it's just like it's a big L for men in the United States.
Financial suicide.
Go
A
ahead.
lot of girls do want to get married, and I think it would be really hard for you to find a girl that's gonna be a lifelong partner with you if you're not gonna put a ring on her finger.
And it's also hard to find
What's
a
that?
lifelong
I was
partner.
good. I was just saying, like, without the ring, like, she's not gonna want to be
She's
with you
gonna
forever.
dip.
What do you think, Kaylin?
I think the same thing. If you're not going to commit to her fully, like in marriage, she's not going to want to stay with you, because why would she want to stay with you if there's like a chance you're not going to tell other girls you're married, so other girls are going to think like they can have a chance.
Well, I can be monogamous.
Yeah, you can.
What does you can be monogamous outside of a marriage?
Again, if there's no ring on your finger, though, a girl can assume whatever she wants.
It shows lack of commitment.
It doesn't show that you're as interested in the girl
Yeah.
as they are probably in you.
He laughing.
They're like
Is
all
it-
saying commitment.
Is it good?
These women.
You just see it right now. He's
They're
cracking
defending
up.
their position of marriage, okay?
All of a
No,
sudden
just
they
the
want
mirror.
commitment.
Yeah.
I think again though that shows a lack of confidence. Like I don't go into relationships going like, oh, she's gonna take all my money and she's gonna do this.
Right.
and do that. I kind of go into it like, I wish he would try. I wish he would try. And that's how I always like kind of relationships sometimes to me are adversarial, and I think that's just a natural thing between human beings.
Yeah.
My thing is that I
Naturally for you, man.
maybe.
You want to fight?
I see my relationships as my woman is trying to destroy me.
Oh.
Every-
you see? Or
every
no, you
woman,
do not.
Yeah, I think every woman is trying to destroy us.
And what do you do with
they,
that?
They think it's for the betterment of us, but it's not. It's like that's why they want us to be vulnerable and talk about our feelings and all. And I have to explain to my girl all the time, if I do that, it's over between us. So you have to pick one or the other.
If you do
have
what?
to switch it- Huh?
If you do what? It's over between us?
If you have me, if I actually become vulnerable and express my feelings,
Yeah.
it's over. And that's not because of me. That's because of her. She's not going to respect me anymore. So
Right.
I have to hold that in. I have to not show her that side, which I don't like anyway.
Right.
And
You don't like that side of yourself anyway.
right. What man does,
Right.
you know? So it's, I
Nobody.
think pushing things down, bottling things up, and, certain things.
Yeah.
Like that's a good thing. Like you don't need to express everything as a man.
Yeah.
So she loves that anyway. So it's like, why do you want that to change?
Yeah.
I'm fine with putting up with it. That's what I do as a man. So I don't know if I answered your
No.
question. But
So she's trying to destroy you, you're saying.
all women are trying to destroy us.
And how do you deal with that, I guess?
you don't feel personal about that. It's just her natural inclination.
Yeah.
You just-
Interesting.
That's what it is. And she doesn't know any better. She's going against her own betterment.
Yeah.
So you realize that's what that is. And you just don't give into it. It's
So
really,
are you saying, just to make it clear, are you saying that intentionally that's the plight of women, or you're saying that there's something within them that can't help but to try to destroy men?
I think it's a part of them that envies the way that we deal with emotion, and they want us to feel how they feel about emotion.
Yeah.
And when
Yeah.
we're like, we don't do it that way. We're more efficient with our emotion.
Yeah.
They hate that.
Yeah, it's like we get over the hurdle a lot quicker, and that's bothersome to ladies. Yeah, I can see that, and I can see that.
Or it doesn't even hurt us in the first place.
Yeah, and it doesn't affect us, and then they wonder why is it not affecting. And that nature in them sometimes is a little ticked that it's not affecting us in the same way it affects them. I can see that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's where really the root of it is that they just envy who we are. That's why they want to be us so bad.
Yeah. And that's the thing is that's when you then that's when you'll find out, you'll discover what direction the lady's gonna go. Is she gonna go the direction to where she's just gonna submit and learn from you, or she's gonna grow bitter in the fact that she can't destroy you and keep trying? That's when you decide, whether you leave or stay.
Eventually she stops and she realizes, okay, I'm happy.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not gonna be what I want him to be, but I love who he is. So that's I think the best place to be is with a relationship is that place.
Fair enough. Good point. And what I wanted to say about the guys, but you made some great points, so we went there. But the points that I wanted to make about the guys is that the guys, to me, seem to be afraid to it sounds like fear. I don't want to get married because I don't want them to take my money. It's financial suicide. I don't want to get married because they may take half my stuff. That seems like fear to me. That seems like you're afraid of losing something. And it also seems like you're too attached to your stuff anyway. It's like if they take it, then that's an opportunity for you to realize you chose the wrong one, for one. And for two, to realize that if it bothers you, you're too attached to stuff anyway. If you're that type of guy that knows how to make money and she takes it, make more again. You know what I mean? It shouldn't bother you in that way. It should just be a learning thing. But now it seems like guys are taking this like chest out approach because they've been hurt or they've been like their trust has been abused, right? For lack of a better word. So then now they're like protecting themselves, thinking that they're being strong by protecting themselves, but really they're just afraid. Seemingly.
Well, you did bring up earlier prenups, right?
Yeah.
And that's the funny thing is, and I know there's like ways to get around prenups with lawyers and stuff like that. However,
I signed under duress. That's all they have to say.
Yeah.
For real? Damn.
The thing though is that they do exist. I think there is a thing too that they're kind of just using that as an excuse of they're gonna lose everything. I think a lot of men though just don't have it in them to make a woman sign a prenup because then she's gonna go, oh, you don't trust me, and most men will go, I trust you, just not that much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so there's a reality to it though. Like if I had millions of dollars, I would definitely do that.
I was gonna ask, would you sign a prenup to protect yourself from her taking your money if something happens for whatever reason?
Yeah, I think there's nothing wrong with that. If you're worth a lot of money and you have fortune and all that type, you want to protect them.
If you're a billionaire and you're married, would you do the prenup thing?
Absolutely, especially if she wasn't there to help me build it.
Oh, interesting. What about you, Nick and James?
She wouldn't even know I had money. I dream of like moonlighting around it's a dream. It's a dream. I'm going around like normal life, but I got money in the back. But I guess I don't know how can you really run a life like that? Like But would I get a prenup? I don't know, man. Like that's my real honest answer. Like
that's good.
I might. I seriously, if I had a whole bunch of money, and I'm like even like the truth is whatever.
Yeah.
I still might get a prenup. Like, and if you learn, wow, I lost my money anyways or whatever, you'll learn what it really means maybe to not be hurt. But that's what a man is essentially, in my mind. So, that's not even an answer.
No,
I might get a prenup. I might.
Yeah.
A lot of people are showy with their money.
Yeah.
And that is like, people are becoming more and more like the blacks in that way, because it didn't used to be that you were showy with money.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a white thing necessarily to be showy with your money.
Mm-hmm.
And so like that's one of the things, like, so you don't attract the wrong person in the first place or the wrong attention. Like People get killed showing their jewelry and then showing their IG, these rappers at like, I'm at this Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. Yeah. And then that rapper got killed.
Yeah, I never understood that. And this is just a side note, but I never understood that because in the same way, gang members, like all these people that were in the prisons, they wear these tattoos that basically say, I'm what you think I am.
Yeah.
And it's like, so then how, it's come get me. It's like, I never understood that. It's like, why are you like saying, come get me? Why aren't you trying, wouldn't you want to be clean, cut clean, and be smart about it so you can, let me not give anybody ideas.
It's better to be bold and defiant, and then everybody respects you when you get killed.
Yeah.
Or whatever. It's like a
an
I
ego.
dare you.
Yeah.
It's like a I dare you.
Yes, in that world, it's I came from that world, so I know it's exactly what Hake is saying. It's if you're wearing your chain, it's almost like and you actually get through and nobody bothers you, it means that guy is not to be messed with.
I see. I got this chain, but you still ain't gonna do nothing about it, type of thing.
You're not gonna take it from me because I'm
in your area. I'm in your hood.
You look like a snake.
And I didn't check in.
Like a sneaky, shy wuss snake.
Yeah.
Being kind of undercover about it.
And that's why sometimes that's also a big thing where they'll take your chain and then show it off. Like, look, this is. It's basically like waving your manhood around.
Yeah.
That's how they see it. Yeah.
Terrible.
That's a risk. Regardless, even if you're tough or not, it's like, can you sleep peacefully like that? You know what I mean? But anyway, the point I wanted to make too, I don't know if you finished your point on that.
Okay, so if I had $1,000, I would get a prenup.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't. I mean,
$1,000.
I'm not against it. I'm not against a prenup necessarily. Like I get your point that could be fear based, and it's like basically you don't trust your own judgment, which you shouldn't necessarily trust your own judgment. Women can switch on you, and like the things of this world aren't meant to be like just squandered willy nilly. You shouldn't get married willy nilly either.
Yeah.
But I don't have any judgment for or against.
For or against it. Yeah, that's I like the answer you gave, but I don't know what I would do in that situation. But right now, let's just say it came to it. Like,
it came out beta, though.
I literally, I don't know if I would, only because, like, I don't know if they always had prenups around, even back in the day. And it just wasn't common that things would just happen in this way. Of course, anybody can turn on you in any kind of way, and you can accidentally choose the wrong person, right? But to me, it's that like
divorce didn't used to be so easy.
And divorce, but the thing is to me, it's just like I don't see the point in being so attached to my things or so attached to the fear of what might happen that now I need protection. Like it should be my lesson. It should be a lesson to me, or it should be a testament that makes sure that you know who you're marrying before you marry, and that way you're protected from all those things. To me, it just feels like a worldly. It's like marriage insurance. I heard somebody say that online once. It's like marriage insurance, and like, well, you get car insurance and you got all this stuff. Why not get marriage insurance? And it's a good point. And I'm not saying it's wrong at all, but I just feel like it's like a safety net, like just in case this doesn't work out, I got this. But that's not really like life to me. That's just my opinion. What do you guys think?
Think about it like this. It's like if I made a bunch of money before, like in my mind, and I don't know how it's supposed to be because I feel like I'm dropping that. Marriage is supposed to be a certain way, but in my mind, it's like, if whatever we made beforehand, here we go. We're starting at zero. We're starting at zero. Like, so maybe there's an argument there, like that gets split up.
Yeah.
But whatever gets made before, so that sounds like a prenup to me. Is that some kind of form of prenup? That sounds like something like that. It's like, okay, this is the agreement. The money I had already made before we met. You're not getting that in a divorce or anything. Like that's.
Oh, I see.
It could be millions.
Yeah.
But
I think there's also,
we start here. We start at zero. Like, is that a form of a prenup?
I think it's all together. It's all one. Because how do you separate?
That's marriage insurance.
Yeah.
Well, I just told you we married this date.
Oh, I see.
I made all this money before we married.
Yeah.
That's my money.
I don't know if it works like that. That's a good question.
Yeah, no?
I don't know.
For real.
They come for everything.
I don't know anything about it.
But judges already don't respect prenups by and large. I heard.
How about an example like this? You started a business, you made it successful, you met somebody, you married her, or you're marrying her, and you say, listen, if whatever goes wrong, there's the prenup. This is my business. I can't lose this.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? A lot of times what will happen is they'll get divorced and then they have to sort of sell their business and get the money from that whole thing.
She's rightful owner of half.
But why would she be? But see, that's fault on the man too. Why is she rightful owner of half?
No, that's how marriage is in the courts. Thinking. I really don't know clearly from my prenup question. I don't really know.
Yeah, the courts may see she's rightfully half owner of the business, but that's where I think you're protecting your business like for future stuff. I think that's a whole different thing. But if I get what you mean though, Joel, if you're just like you're scared of the inevitable and that's how you're looking at it,
because it's almost
maybe you shouldn't marry her.
It's almost like you don't have no faith in who the person that you married. And if it doesn't work out, then that's your fault. But I want to add this too, is that why doesn't she get half, right? Why doesn't she deserve half if it's your wife that you got together with, where she's just not laying on the couch sitting there doing nothing, right? If she's the right wife, she's doing her part, she's doing her duties in the home, taking care of the kids, A, B, and C. She's doing half her part to help you do your part. Why didn't she deserve half?
If you divorce, then she doesn't deserve anything.
If she divorces.
Right, if she divorces, she doesn't deserve anything.
Why do you think
I
so?
say that.
Why
because then that proves that she wasn't a good wife doing her part.
Interesting.
Fair. She wasn't mentally there.
Yeah.
But what if it's him too? He'd be a bad
always
husband.
is him too. But he gets what he worked for.
It always
but she
is
helped.
him too. For
she
what?
helped.
She helped at the house, and he gave her room and board. She's like, that's how it works. That's how it's supposed to work anyway.
Make it straight
if I were the judge of the world, that's how I would. I don't know how I would do it, but it seems fair to me.
It sounds like what they would call misogynistic, Hake, because what it's saying is basically that I
respect women.
You are basically saying that the man has a role, the woman has a role, and her role is supposedly, both their roles are to be played, right, to make the house work, right?
Right.
But if she divorces or whatever the case is, or they both have issues and she decides to leave, because she's a wife, she's not entitled to her portion because they're not equal anyway. He gave her room and board, so that's all she gets. But isn't she supposed to be equal to the man?
Yeah. She's equal in God's eyes, but not in the money that she gets.
And why? But why not?
Because she didn't have the know-how or the discipline that the man had or the authority that the man had to get that money.
But do you think that if the man had to raise the kids by himself, if the man had to was a single dad and had to cook and clean and be there to help raise the children and do his business, he may not have been as successful?
Right, he wouldn't have had the kids either, because she was there to make the kids and then take care of them like she was supposed to.
No, I mean like if she wasn't there and he had to do it all by himself, maybe he wouldn't have been as successful.
Right, and a fair-minded man might kick her a little bit of stuff just to be nice.
But then they're not equal. They're not equal then.
Half is a bit much.
Nature and nature's God prove that they're not equal.
Oh,
it is nature, and nature's God is misogynistic.
Hake said that, chat, not me. Do you guys agree with Hake? Because chat's gonna cook you. Whoever disagrees.
100% behind Hake on this one.
I'll tell you one thing though. I don't agree with the whatever man. What is his name again?
Brian.
About
that whatever
not
fella.
getting married and stuff like that. Like Crishaun said, the life partner thing. That's no solution. I mean, I get that the laws are against men and that women are against men and that men are undermining ourselves too because we don't know how to pick them and we don't know how to be. And so but I still don't. I'm not anti-marriage like him.
Yeah.
I'm for.
I agree with that.
I don't personally care necessarily whether I get married. I like my life as it is. I don't want to mess it up by jumping into marriage with some woman. And if the woman doesn't want to hang out and wait, then she's not the right woman for me.
Mm.
I get the fear of marriage, but it's
wait.
like a healthy fear.
Hang out and wait.
Hang out and wait until I know for sure.
Oh, I see.
That I want to marry this woman.
Yeah.
And I'm not necessarily I don't even think that we should be thinking about marriage when we're hanging out with a woman. Like when you're dating or whatever.
Yeah.
That shouldn't necessarily
be a
you're
thing.
you're dating her because you're interested in her, but this marriage idea or as a goal, I think that's perverted.
Yeah, and it can be a setup if you're thinking too much about.
Exactly.
Yeah, it can like play on your mind.
You get the wrong idea.
But you'll know when you know if you
That's a woman
are to
thing
get
to have
married.
that idea. And actually, I don't think women should even have that idea. You know what I mean? To have an aspiration of where you want this to go.
Yeah. Just wait
You're
and
not
see.
God.
Wait and see.
Yeah.
Mm.
And that fear is playing God.
Yeah.
You're impervious. A man's impervious.
Yeah.
Whether it's marriage, whether it's with a prenup, without a prenup, it's not going to dictate. Oh, but this guy got cheated on.
But that doesn't mean you dive in. That means that you're led toward wherever life takes you.
I did want to agree and disagree with Hake on something. Like, I agree that for a while I didn't see it like, oh, I need to get married. I need to get married. I never looked at it that way. In fact, I like being single more.
Yeah.
My girl is sort of convincing me in that she was there for me in a lot of like situations that I know most people would have left, right?
Yeah.
So it's almost like a point of like, because she's been there in these situations, I can't just leave like that. You know what I mean? Because because I've made her sort of dependent on me also. You know, and I want that though. So
you're saying that there's a trust that you have now with this person that has you've been with that you don't think it's bad to look that you're looking towards marriage about it?
Yes, because I didn't look at it at the beginning. There's a point where I started like looking at like, okay, maybe, you know, I could see. It kind of was something I toyed with, and then it to me right now it's not even something that I'm like, I need this. I hope we, you know, live happily ever after. I'm not thinking that way. But it's more of like, okay, she's there. She takes care of this. She kind of does what I asked her to do, you know, or tell her what to do. Like she's there. So it's almost like, in terms of even like the biblical standpoint of what a marriage would be, it's like that's what I'm setting up first before I even think about it. Right. You get what I mean? So I think a lot of men don't do that in relationships, period. They don't even test their women or ask them what they think. They don't ask them what their philosophy is or try to change their philosophy. And that's because most men don't have their own philosophy. They're just listening to like manosphere shows and then they're just copying that. And women are catching up to that as well. So
well, it's not realness, you know, and a woman can detect whether you're being real or not. So yeah, they know that. And if you're not being real, they're not going to respect it. They may stay, but they're not going to respect it. And they respect a man that's real, and they'll stick around more for that. But just to add to your point,
I had to stop doing that. Oh, sorry, we can talk about that. I thought you were moving on.
Quick. No, just want to add to the point really quick.
You're moving on. My bad.
Is that I think that naturally it's gonna come up naturally. The thoughts of like, oh, okay, I can see this going somewhere. You know, I do think that we shouldn't dwell on it. You know, like the point that you're making, we shouldn't dwell on. Oh, well, I want to get married so bad. Hopefully this works out. But I do think that naturally it comes up to where you start thinking about it a little bit. Like, do I see myself marrying this person? How far have we come? Where is it going to go? And you kind of creep, those thoughts do creep in, and there's nothing wrong with entertaining them, is what you're saying, Crishaun.
Yeah. And there's also
I agree with that.
There's a level of safety to it. It's like the dating world is dangerous these days. So it's like when you find somebody that you trust and you actually like being around, it's like, all right, that kind of changes your perspective on even the men and women dynamic. So, Nick, you look like you were going to say something, though.
No.
Women
That was
can be,
unrelated. Sorry.
Women can be cunning though. Like they can play like they're faithful, and they can be like stay there for you.
Yeah.
Like they're your ride or die, they say. And then the whole ulterior motive is to trick you into marrying them.
Yeah.
And they're pushing for it. Usually, I feel like there's that I feel like kind of. I heard you say it too. And then she said the anchor baby said it. But anyway, I feel like that the women are more eager to marry than the man, and they've been basically kind of convinced the man to marry them. And I don't think that I think that he should refrain from being convinced until it's clear to him, like from life. I feel like there it is again. That life will make it clear when it's time to marry.
Yeah, I mean, but there's
But it shouldn't be from. Sorry, let me just say one more thing. It shouldn't be from any like, oh, she's getting older. Oh, I'm feeling sorry for her. She's not going to be able to have kids if I don't marry her now, or whatever like that, because that was her choice to risk it by staying with you that long. So you don't have any obligation to drop her at any moment if you see fit to do it, or to marry her if you see fit.
Yeah,
not from any pressure from her.
That takes you being honest about that, and men being honest about that, to where they'll say, like, some men will promise a girl kids and never come through on it. Now that's deceiving. So I'm not.
They'll lie to her, I love you.
and the whole thing that women are cunning, absolutely. That's why I think every man has to develop a sort of litmus test.
Yeah.
In how you go about making sure these people, or like anybody around you, is real and solid.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Make sure even your friends, the male friends around you, are solid. You have to have a litmus test for everybody, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah.
Or just know that they aren't. Like Jesus knew that one of them was a devil, and actually he knew that they would all fall away, and he could kind of see through them.
Are you saying that? Are you saying, Hank, that all women are cunning and deceitful and devils, and that be on guard against them? Is that what you're saying, Hank?
Not necessarily be on guard. Be on guard against the temptations to follow them, or to get too close in a way that is.
It's a good point.
And that's why. Real quick, that's why I said earlier, you have to just accept that all women are trying to destroy us. All of the women in our life are trying to destroy us. And that's just their natural thing. That's their natural evil in them.
Okay, so let me ask this question. Do you think because of that, men should keep their guard up or let it down? What's the right thing to do? Keep your guard up or let it down and let people in?
For me, it's not a guard thing. It's because what am I guarding? My feelings?
Right.
Like, no woman hurt my feelings.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, really, when it comes down to it, it's just the only thing is marriage. That's the only way a woman could really get you, by the neck.
Yeah.
And that's why they want it so much.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's you have to make sure you're setting up your relationship right to where if you get there, like a lot of men will say, oh, well, she changed as soon as I married her, as soon as I put that ring on her finger. It's like, no, she's always been like that. You just didn't do it right.
Yeah.
You just didn't figure it out. You let her trick you.
Yeah, you let her trick you. I think that most men today approach this dating thing, and I can speak from experience for myself. And their lens is based off of a guard being up, protecting their feelings, right? Because they've been played by women so many times, but they've played women so many. They're caught up in this game of like the game, right? To where you're playing, you're getting played, you played. Everybody's trust is all over the place, but the guard goes up, and now you're trying to protect yourself from being hurt. But now you're walking out with this chest out that's all tough and bad, but it's fraudulent. So that's what I feel like guys are trying to protect when they're going against these things, and they're choosing the wrong ones, or they're doing all this stuff because they really just don't want to get hurt, but it's just not real.
Absolutely. Yeah. I had a realization when I was younger because I went through a bad like period of time that I had with relationships and women, and I realized it all stemmed from my first relationship when I was 14 years old, and then I realized this at like 25 or something, that I was basing all of my decisions and my relationships and everything, like the structure of my relationships with women, based on what happened and how a 14-year-old girl treated me.
Yep.
And I was 14. And now I'm an adult and I'm still letting that bother me.
Yep.
So once you got to let that trauma and all that nonsense go. It's, you know,
that's such a good, I don't know, you about to add? It's such a good point though, because it's like, you realize when you're in a relationship and you see it to be like something real, you tend to recognize that a lot of the reasons why you are the way you are is because there's still that little boy that is afraid of being this person now to hurt you like and you got to let that go. But you also got to let yourself open yourself up, and I'm not saying in spilling your feelings type of way, but allow yourself to be hurt again if that's going to happen. You can't avoid yourself being hurt, you know, and that's another thing too. You can't have a guard. That makes no sense. It's actually beta too to have a guard, and you got to just, if your trust is betrayed again, then it's betrayed again. All you can do is just learn and get stronger from the situation. But like you said, me myself is, you know, still realizing that there is things that still I clench on to that are just old things that are just unnecessary to protect myself or whatever.
Mm-hmm. And then it's almost like, what are you looking for in that? Are you just looking for people who are perfect and never mess up and not flawed? It's like, you got to accept that people screw up and people aren't perfect. And that helps you with relationships, even with your friends or your brothers or your father, even like.
Yep.
So
good point.
Facts.
Nice. Any last comments on it? I know you're about to get to another point. Do you remember?
No.
I guess we had to wind it down. Wow. Time already flew by. We're already coming close to the top of the hour. Any last comments on any of that stuff we got to? The time flew by here. We're already almost out of time.
I think that the relationships and even marriages, I think they're not that important.
Yeah.
People make it too important in their mind, and then dive into one or avoid one because of that. Because of that messed up mind. That's it.
You know, I agree, and I also want to throw in like a caveat in there too. Is that like I do think that people put this stuff on a pedestal way too much. I've done it for sure. I recognize that, but I also think that there's a necessary awareness and like a duty when you are in a relationship to understand these things. Because like Crishaun is saying is that like in understanding these things, in being aware and paying attention, you start to learn the schemes. You start to learn how to be able to catch the little things that are being done. And it allows you to stay a couple steps ahead. So if we're just at the same time so like, you know, relationships are just not that important, whatever, then you're almost not paying attention. And then these things are more likely to happen. So there is a necessary awareness, I think.
I think that
it made hella sense, you know. James has made perfect sense without putting some points into it.
I think they're very important. In that, like, I think it's a lot of people make their relationships with people more important than their relationship with God.
Right.
And I think that's the problem.
Right.
But yeah, I think relationships with people are extremely important. Like, I think that's how we survive to a degree. Yeah, like you can be an isolationist if you want, but you got to have strong relationships with some people in order to like make your life meaningful, I think. Yeah. Otherwise, you're just kind of there.
Yeah, and that's also how we learn from each other. That's how we expand. That's how we grow, is also like developing these relationships, and they can't develop unless we in some sense kind of work on it. And I don't mean work on it in a stressful way. But there is a necessity to working at this relationship, and we're understanding how to develop it and making mistakes, learning, but being aware, communicating. There is a little bit of an importance, which I think that you're saying, of and I agree with, of paying attention to those things and dealing with those things in order to have good relationships, ones that work, ones that last. So I do think there's also a sense of importance there.
I think that if you can watch yourself in a relationship and watch yourself in life, period, then you're more likely to catch things that you're doing wrong in a relationship, setting yourself up for misery, or setting yourself up for a good situation with whatever person, if whatever person ends up being right. Because I liken it to one time or once or twice or more, I've gotten like fat on accident because I wasn't really paying attention. I was just not denying myself this or that or this or that, and it became like a daily thing. And just like that, you can not deny yourself this little ego feeding by way of this person or that thing, and you're missing. You kind of know that you're doing wrong, but and it's not even that wrong in the eyes of the world or even in the eyes of Christians. Yeah. But you know that you're a little off in your approach, and part of it is because this relationship or the idea of a relationship or a marriage has become like a god, or it's an idea that you're holding on to, and you're not paying attention to yourself. So that's partly what I mean by making the relationship too important, to where you're missing a lot. You're missing a lot about yourself that's screwing up your life and other people.
So you're saying only focus on yourself and not on what she's doing or what's happening?
If you're checking yourself, you're more likely to be able to check her, and you'll see her doing stuff and not be upset about it. You'll be able to deal with it the right way, rather than dealing with her, hoping that she fixes it so that the relationship can work, type of thing. Because you're making it, you can deal with her, be willing to lose her or whatever. Yeah. Because I remember one time with a relationship, I made everything was like too important. Yeah. And it was kind of overbearing, where she would overreact to any little thing that I said, and I wouldn't even mean anything by what I said. Yeah. But I think that an inkling of it was that I was making it too important.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And she was feeding into that. She was taking advantage of that.
And it became this oppressive, heavy thing, rather than just a whatever. We're just hanging out.
But I think to some degree, if you're interested to a person, there's going to be some level of over care. You know what I mean? Like, that's the fallen state. So it's like.
But I feel like it's better that if the less you do that, and the more you catch yourself doing that, the better that this thing is going to go.
You know, one thing that I'm agreeing with you here is that, like, the most important thing is that we're watching ourselves, because how you be of service to anybody else if you don't even know what's going on within you, for one.
Like what Crishaun said, your relationship with God.
Yeah.
That's what's important.
Yeah. But you should also keep eyes on her too. I think it's a both thing, because I've learned the most through my situation, from whether I was caught up in it too much or not, from observing my behavior and her behavior, because it helped me learn how she thinks. It helped me learn how she operates. It helped me learn how she looks at life, and more about just women in general. So I do agree, put God first, and when you do that, you can see things a lot clearer. But I think that we shouldn't necessarily like take the eyes off of.
Part of why I'm saying this is because it's like we're living so selfishly. Like, let's say Nick had a breakup. I don't care.
Right.
Or everybody goes through breakups or divorces or gets married, and it's like no big deal, like nice. But it's such a big deal for them. It's such a big deal when you're all about self.
Yeah.
And so that's partly why I'm saying that people
keep some
make
space.
This stuff
Keep some space.
so important. Like, don't make self so important.
Yeah. I know. This guy over here, he's heartless over here. My last question for you, Crishaun, is in dating now for you, what's it like dating? Because you watch the shows, you're familiar with Jesse, you understand the message, you work on yourself, you have a relationship with God, stuff like that. What's it like being out in the world, meeting somebody who has possibly no recollection of any of this stuff, and also in the world, what's it like starting from scratch in that way and dealing with this person?
It's honestly, for me, it's not too hard because I'm good at taking whatever comes from what I say and what I believe. And I've survived pretty well. Yeah. So when it comes to women, like one of the first things I tell women is I'm a sexist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get it out the way. Right. I tell a lot of because I date I've dated black women. My girlfriend is black, and I told her one of the first things, I'm a sexist and I'm a racist.
Yeah.
She's like, what does that mean? So I explained my whole philosophy to her, and at the end of it, she's like, oh, okay. So it's like either you're gonna accept that and you're gonna face the music with me, or you're not.
Yeah.
And I think it's just being upfront and being honest about it. And I tend to find that just being honest doesn't really get you in as much trouble. It's more of the not trying to pretend trying to pretend you're not a Trump supporter. Just come out and like my boss that I work for asked me one day, he's not a Trump supporter, asked me if I'm a Trump supporter. And I go, yeah. I think he's a good president. And he goes, okay. It's like, do you really want to take us both down this route when we have a good working relationship? And they don't.
Yeah.
So just be honest. That's my message.
Well, it's more the confidence in your belief that people respect anyway. They may disagree with what you say, but if you're timid, talk about, I'm a Trump supporter out of fear, then that nature in people, that evil nature in people wants to just pounce on that. Like, oh, let's get him because he's already afraid and we already don't like Trump. So but you go in there confident, people tend to respect that for the most part.
And you're not looking for an argument. You're just
right.
You're just being clear.
You ask me, I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
So, and here's the funny thing I noticed too is a lot of times when you start doing that, and let's say there's like a group of people around, you'll start noticing a couple people will start speaking up. They just need to see one person do it, and then they'll kind of back you up a little bit. I believe he's right about this.
Yeah, true.
People aren't brave on their own. Most people aren't. So you got that guy. Be that guy.
Right on. Well, I appreciate it, Crishaun, you coming on to Punchie. First time, we'll have to definitely have you back. Good conversation.
How do people find your stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. X, YouTube, Rumble, at the Misfit Nation on all of those respective platforms. Also, you could follow me at Crishaun the Don on X. That's pretty much it. Pretty simple. Oh, Podbean, misfitnation.podbean.com. Got a shout outs to Podbean. They're always they never strike anybody for anything. I don't think anybody's in charge over there.
Well, my last question, and then we'll wrap it up. How do we end this?
Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe. Hit the button over here. Subscribe over there. Ring the bell over.
I'm not doing all that editing with all this. That's not gonna pop up over there.
Ain't nothing popping up. And the people like, where? Just hit the button. Y'all know what to do. Bye.
But you didn't say to Punchie TV, but I'll put that up. Punchie TV.
I didn't know I was supposed to say that.
You have to subscribe to Punchie TV.
Oh.
But that's fine.
But they know they're looking at Punchie TV.
That's fine.
We'll put that in the edit. That part, that little conversation.
Yeah, put that in there.
Nice.
Well,
hey, I appreciate you guys, man. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming on, man.
Good to finally talk to the anchor baby. You know, anchor baby. You know, I'm one too. I'm an anchor baby. Shout out. Jamaican one.
That's right.
My dad wasn't.
We're dying breed. The last of the Mohicans. They're gonna get rid of this birthright.
Pull up the ladder. Pull up the ladder.
Up the ladder. Circle the wagons.